Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning in to Popcorn Fodder. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all the people who've helped support the show being made. And if you want to see more episodes, there's one major way you can help, and that is to go to patreon.com/incrediblyhandsome and become a supporter of the show. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to every episode the moment it's released, and you'll also get behind the scenes photos, all kinds of cool, fun stuff like that. And of course, my undying appreciation and an always full container of poppin' corn. So head over to the Patreon if you get a chance, and most importantly, enjoy the show.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Popcorn fodder makes me hotter.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. But you know what else is up, Wolfie? Oh, yeah. Welcome, my friends, and I'm not just saying that, to Popcorn Fodder, the show where we plop down with a movie and a snack, and we talk some smack. I just made that up. Bye, dog. Well, okay, I didn't just make it up right now, but I just made it up when I was writing it. I'm your host, Henrique Couto, and here at Popcorn Fodder, we watch brilliant and bizarre films with you. Think of it as like an instant friend, just add water. Now, you may be thinking, hey, Henrique, why would anyone want to watch someone host a movie when they could just stream it or whatever? Well, listen here, doubt that's deeply ingrained in my personality. It's a goddamn blast to sit down and share a movie, so shut up, me. Whew. Okay, changing gears. When my age was in the single digits, I would go up to New Hampshire from Ohio to visit my father in the summer. He worked third shift at a factory, so I had a lot of time to myself early in the day while he was catching some sleep. He had quite a VHS tape collection, mostly recorded off of TV or bootlegs. He had amassed a ton of Godzilla tapes, which I became obsessed with. But the other tapes were kung fu movies, oftentimes starring Bruce Lee. In fact, my father's nickname was Couto, which was Bruce Lee's character name on the show The Green Hornet. Bruce Lee, born Lee Jun-fan, was a martial artist, actor, writer, producer, and director who decided not to accept the idea of the Chinaman sidekick that was so common in the 1950s and 60s. He did play that role once, though, in the Green Hornet series, although it's not completely fair to say he played the Chinaman sidekick, but he was the sidekick on the show. But after that ended, Bruce Lee's career seemed to grind to a halt. He also spent a lot of time fighting against another type of racism. He was hated by many of the martial arts contemporaries he had for training Westerners in the fighting arts. Training too many celebrities and famous fighters to name here, he then found out something shocking overseas in Hong Kong. The Green Hornet was a big hit there. In fact, they referred to it as the Couto Show because they were so enamored with his character. Bruce then flew to Hong Kong, where he began starring in kung fu films to lots and lots of fanfare. He wasn't a second banana anymore. He was a leading man in the bustling Hong Kong film market. Most of the kung fu films produced would do modest business in the United States, getting dubbed and often finding their way onto grindhouse screens, afternoon TV, and the like. However, Bruce Lee's films went beyond that. Lee commanded a leading man presence that brought his relatively low-budget kung fu films to bigger and broader markets. This led to the epic and iconic film Enter the Dragon, a film that would lead him to becoming one of the biggest stars of all time. Unfortunately, he would not be around to enjoy his stardom at its fullest. Bruce Lee died in Hong Kong on July 20th, 1973 at the age of 32 due to complications of cerebral edema. I myself am 32, so that's pretty sobering to hear. But one of the just 5 films he starred in that made him a household name decades ago was a little movie called Way of the Dragon, retitled Return of the Dragon, in order to cash in on the success of Enter the Dragon, which was made after the fact. Way of the Dragon was directed by Lee, and it shows so much promise for Lee as a storyteller. The humor is spot on and often self-deprecating. It's totally, totally worth your watch. Seek it out. Many have had things to say about his personal life, his actual abilities as a fighter, and how much of it was just hype. To those people I say, lighten the fuck up. Well, I don't know, there's not a nicer way to put it. If you can't appreciate the man's charisma, his passion for the fighting arts, and his ability to bring it all to American audiences while making great strides for Asian and American relations, then I feel bad for you. You're missing out on a great performer who had wonderful philosophies on life. His death was an international tragedy. So much so that some people have conspiracy theories based around his death. Personally, I don't buy it. Whenever someone beloved dies and at a young age, people can't accept it, so they start coming up with answers that they'd prefer. Happened with Elvis, happened with JFK, and it happened with Bruce Lee. Then, of course, there are the people that say Bruce Lee isn't dead at all. And that, my friends, leads into tonight's film. You know, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, which, if true, means Bruce Lee is the most flattered man in history. After his passing, film studios started pumping out films that kind of sounded like Bruce Lee movies, or they'd even rename stars, such as Bruce Lie. The trend was so aggressive that it actually brought about its own terminology, Bruceploitation. There were so many of these films, I couldn't get an actual count. And I really tried too. Between the sheer number of them and all the retitles, I just plain threw up my arms in defeat. This one, though, is honestly one of the most shameless of them all. Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. With one of the most lame, yet incredible opening moments of all time, where an unnamed Bruce Lee clone jumps out of a grave, and that's right after it's been struck by lightning, which of course is unrelated to what happens afterward. The film is really about Han Wook, who is investigating the death of his brother. This brings him to Los Angeles, where he uncovers an opium ring that may have had something to do with his brother's passing. So now Han will go on his adventure and beat up lots of pimps, thugs, and maybe even the devil? For real, I'm not even making that up. This film is as much a martial arts movie as it is an oddball supernatural romp. It's not perfect, but it's always worth watching. Remember, kids, on Popcorn Fodder, our films are presented in the most distant from digital remastered they can possibly be. It adds to the aesthetic, and it's what we can afford. So grab yourself some popcorn and maybe some lo mein. Bruce Lee is about to fight back from the grave, only not really. Let's press play.
want to go? Oh. Here, this place. All right.
Don't you think you've had enough? I think it's time you quit.
Why?
Don't you get bored by it all? Kung Fu instruction every day. It's a hell of a way to earn a living.
It's the only thing I know, and I like it.
I don't agree. I'm getting fed up to the teeth. Day after day, the same thing, and there's not any money in it either.
What have you got to moan about?
Well, I need a change.
What for?
I do. I need it. And now. Huh. Not tomorrow. I never took it seriously, you know. That rubbish about sacred principles. I want money in the bank. Huh. That's what counts. Money can buy anything. I need cash.
I don't know what's got into you. What's with you, anyway? Have you forgotten what you were taught? You're ignoring the teachings. And I don't like that. It could mean trouble for you.
You mean you still believe that crap?
I believe it. Of course I do. Why not?
Ha! What for? You're a born loser, man. You're never gonna make it. You need some money.
I need to find fulfillment, and then I'll have lived a good life.
One day, I'll show you what a good life is. I'm not gonna waste my time around here. You wait and see. Just give me 3 years, that's all I need. Don't leave it too long before you make it over. I'll be waiting for you.
Your money. Come on. Come on.
Okay.
Money. You're fair, sir.
Why?
And tip. You're meant to tip.
Really? That's so? Now get out of here! The Lord Almighty, He leadeth me beside the still waters. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Excuse me, miss. Perhaps you can help. Does a Mr. Gul Hoghan live here? Oh, what's wrong? Something the matter?
I'm afraid he's dead.
He's dead.
It's terrible. He was in such good spirits. He went out for a drink. What happened then, I don't know. But yesterday, he was discovered dead. So sudden. He seems to have committed suicide. He fell from a roof. It's terrible. I can't believe it.
What do you want? A scotch.
I'd like to get What do you mean I've shoved you off your feet? You mean I've talked you into it? All right. Hey,
One more, right?
I had a drink here the other day, and that was one hell of a fight. This guy tried to pull the belly dancer, and I tell you, all she did was just put the knee in, and clapped him with a castanet.
Keep him coming.
All right, I got him. Right where it hurt. That's that painful. I got it. Oh, yeah. Go, baby, go! Let's go, baby. Move it. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good, baby. Yeah, that's great. Well, I got it. All right. Oh, Who are you? You know him? Where are you going here, boy? What are you after here?
We start out with a chintzy headstone, which lightning strikes, throwing her unnamed Bruce Lee imitator into the air, never to be seen again. The film focuses on our hero, Wong, attempting to solve a murder mystery involving a martial arts master, rather than being about a zombie Bruce Lee avenging his own demise, which I'll admit is a little bit of a bummer. However, the absolute batshit nature of this film is one of its greatest strengths. I mean, just in the last few scenes, we saw Wong desecrate a coffin and fondle bones on a conveyor belt, then down approximately 4,567 shots as a woman does a belly dancing routine in a bar, basically forever, then walks the streets of the mean city carrying the dead dude's remains in a box lashed around his neck in sequences that bring to mind a kind of Los Angeles Frank Henenlotter's basket case, if you ask me, which no one did, but I said it anyway. He then gets into a fight with a black shirtless dude in a cape, which, by the way, I could totally pull off a cape, I just don't want to. This is the discordant, anything goes aesthetic that put films like these that play in the grindhouse circuit in a psychotronic class all their own. Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave, released in 1976 originally, was titled Visitor of America in South Korea. It stars Taekwondo master Jun Chong. You're going to have to work with me on these names, guys. But he's credited here as K. Lee Chong in the original South Korean version, but in our version, he's credited as Bruce K. Lea, L-E-A, and that's just for us here in the United States. Written and directed by Do Yong Lee, who has directed around 60 Korean films of many, many genres. At the start of the film, you see the infamous Aquarius releasing logo. They're the ones that gave us the very haphazardly placed intro at the beginning of the film. Aquarius was run by grindhouse maestro Terry Levine, who I'll talk about a little later. Our star, Jun Chong, is making his feature film debut here, and you know what? I like him. Jun Chong opened his own Taekwondo school in Los Angeles in 1973. He taught many notables such as Sam Jones, known by many as Flash Gordon, Lorenzo Lamas, and boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard. In 1985, Chong founded his own production company, Action Brothers Productions. His first film as a producer was L.A. Street Fighters, which he also starred in. The film would feature some of his students in the cast, most notably to my nerdy ass would be a pre-Back to the Future Thomas F. Wilson. Yeah, that's right. Biff was trained in Taekwondo, and George McFly still cleaned his clock. So, hey you, get your damn Taekwondo hands off her. His second feature film was Silent Assassins, where Chong brought in another student of note, Linda Blair. Yes, indeed, the little girl from The Exorcist. However, she's all grown up and the film gets big thumbs up from me. After that, he produced Street Soldiers. Then he took a 15-year hiatus from film, returning in 2006 to produce and appear in the film Maximum Cage Fighting, which is the most masculine name I have ever heard of a movie ever. I mean, unless you just called it Axe Body Spray Gun. That would be the only way that title would be more manly. Grandmaster Jun Chong runs the Jun Chong Taekwondo Studio, one of the longest operating martial arts academies in Southern California to this very day. Henwolf is very excited when you talk about Taekwondo, by the way. She loves Taekwondo treats. He's built quite an amazing life for himself, and it all started with Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. So let's get back to it, because Wong has a whole lot of pimps and pushers. I know the dog's barking. Director Dave is just like trying to get her to shut up, and I'm like, yeah, she's gonna listen to you. The dogs are all hanging out in the air conditioning while I'm in here sweating my balls off hosting Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. But anyway, I'm going to get back on script and say Wong has a whole lot of pimps and pushers to pummel. That's the kind of alliteration you don't get from improvising every goddamn part. So anyway, let's get back to Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. Let's press play.
God, no. Because you don't have any proof at all. Or any witnesses. So I just your story that it was self-defense. What can I do? You could get the chair.
And what sort of chair is that?
You what? What's with this guy? He wants his own special kind?
He wants to have his own maid.
The fool!
Are you putting us on? Give us some proof or you're gonna fraud, boy.
I told you I don't have any.
Damn you!
I told you. What's the matter with you? This is meant to be a democracy. You can't push people around. I've got my rights.
Oh, your rights. You got your rights, boy. Yeah, it is meant to be a democratic country, but you still need to have proof, and you'll need bail, otherwise I'm gonna lock you up. And then you can rot in prison until we meet in court and sort it out there.
I don't know anyone.
In that case, be our guest. You can make yourself at home here.
Well, nothing would surprise me. I've learned to be philosophical about this kind of thing.
What the hell is this guy on about anyway? Can you tell me that, for Christ's sakes?
Nothing really. These Orientals are all the same. They think different. That's all there is to it.
Well, I don't trust his fancy talk. Hello. Yeah, I understand. All right, I'll let him go. Yo, free to go. Get the hell out of here, do you hear me? Get out!
I'm not surprised. A sudden change of fortunes in the scheme of things. Thank you, sir.
Damn you.
There's someone who wants to meet you.
Who is it?
You'll soon find out. Get in the car.
Excuse me.
the name is Scott Lee. What is yours?
Wong Han. Are you Chinese? You sound American.
My grandfather. He was from China.
Oh, really? Was he? Nice to meet you. It's very kind of you.
There's no need to thank me. Please, sit yourself down. Please. Did they tell you who put up the bail for your release?
Not yet.
Do you know who bailed you out?
No, I don't know, and I'm not sure I understand.
I did. It cost me $2,500.
But why?
Because I like you.
That the only reason?
No, it's not. I want you to find her.
Oh. Who is she?
I'll pay well. You'll get $5,500 when you're finished. Hold it. Reconsider. Chinese know how to be grateful.
Sorry, I don't mean to disappoint you, but there's something about the way you made your request I don't quite like. I must turn you down.
Come on, baby. What the hell do you want?
Leave her alone.
Damn you!
Thank you. It's strange. America is meant to be free, but what a lie. Nothing is free in this country. Everything has a price on it. Is he why you've come here? Oh, you're on a visit, or are you working here?
I have a problem. Go Hawk Han. Does the name mean anything to you? I came here to meet him. You ever met him yourself?
Oh, why should the name mean anything to me?
You've heard about him. You read of his death in the papers.
I read that he committed suicide, but why are we discussing this?
It wasn't suicide. He had become a very wealthy businessman. He'd everything going for him. He'd no reason to kill himself. Something must have happened to him. You know something.
All right, I'll tell you. Let's go to the cafe where I work as a waitress. I'll tell you about it over coffee, okay? Well, let's see. Where shall I begin now? It must be about 2 years ago. He decided to open up his own gymnasium with the money he'd managed to accumulate over the years, through hard work and putting a bit aside each week, you know. But the gym also had a Turkish bath. I worked for him there to pay my college fees. Anyway, it was a great success. Almost immediately, we were turning customers away. It soon became the in place to go, and within a year, he'd made it clear $50,000. It was really fantastic. But it wasn't to last. He had some bad luck. It was really terrible. A pupil, young kid, was a lawyer's son. During his practice, he tried to break a brick. By using his head, he hurt himself. The father chose to sue to take him to court, and he got a huge amount in damages. The lawyer knew his law, and he won the case. He took Go Hok Han for every single cent that he'd saved. He was broke, without a penny in the world. Then one day, a group of strangers came to see him. Pretty mean bunch.
And then what happened to him?
Nothing at all. They talked briefly and then he followed them.
After that?
He just disappeared. Nothing was heard for 4 months. But then one day, he suddenly turned up again and everything returned to normal. Shortly after that, he received your telegram. Then he went for a drink. Next thing I heard, he was dead.
Thank you.
Are you leaving now?
I've heard all I wanted. You've been most helpful. I need some time to think. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Popcorn Fodder is proudly brought to you by Henflix.com. Wait a second, isn't Henflix.com my movie web store? Well, it is, because honestly, I put my money where my mouth is. So the only sponsor we have on this program is my web store. So if you love independent film, whether it be horror, comedy, anything in between, go to Henflix.com, grab yourself a Blu-ray or a DVD. You can also find copies of Popcorn Fodder Season 1 and hopefully Season 2. You know, we're gonna try. So if you wanna support the show in a very direct way, go to Henflix.com, get yourself a movie, and have a good time. A Japanese, a black man, a white man, a Mexican, and a cowboy. Folks, he's up against the damn village people. Our hero is in for quite a fight with the inclusion of distinct, over-the-top opponents, each with their own signature fighting style that would be right at home in really any comic book. I mean, here alone we've got a samurai, a cowboy, a Charles Bronson clone, and that's just to start. Bruce Lee's arguably most iconic film ever, Enter the Dragon, featured this trope, which was taken to outrageous levels by the video game and movie Mortal Kombat, which lifted Enter the Dragon's story pretty much wholesale, and that tradition had continued on throughout much of the 1970s martial arts cinema, especially notably with Sonny Chiba starring in the Street Fighter series as a very, very prime example. Also, you gotta love the depiction of American police in this flick. As a random officer states, these Orientals are all alike, and the police chief screams at Wong while his walls are adorned with 2 shotguns and basically nothing else. His bail was paid by a rich and mysterious man who requests Wong find a young woman in exchange for some cold hard cash, which he turns down. This brings us to Susan, played by the lovely Deborah Dutch. Here, credited as Deborah Chaplin, in her first role of what would become a very, very lengthy career. And I gotta tell you, I'm so excited that I never thought when I was hosting the show I'd get to talk about Deborah Dutch. Deborah Dutch is royalty in the land of B-movies, having appeared in over 70 films, including more mainstream work like The Man Who Wasn't There and Action Jackson, which does not rhyme, by the way. What I appreciate her in most are the genre staples such as 976 Evil 2, Bikini Drive-In, and one of my personal all-time favorites, Jim Wynorski's Hard to Die, a film that features babes, a 50-story high-rise, and enough machine guns to liberate a South American nation. I caught that film on late-night cable as an 11-year-old boy, and I'll tell you, my brain has never been the same. I have an original video store poster for Hard to Die hanging in my bedroom. It took me almost a decade to locate one, and it was worth every goddamn penny. Deborah Dutch is still working hard today, and some of her recent films include Hellcat's Revenge, Night Mistress, and the seminal Dances with Werewolves. Deborah Dutch, we at Popcorn Fodder would like to salute you. You elevate everything you're in with your beauty, humor, and your presence on screen. While our hero is not Bruce Lee, Jun Chong was certainly inspired by Lee in many aspects, but the folks dubbing this film into English were even more so. Half the fun of a lot of these low-budget martial arts films is just the dubbing. Many times the dubbing isn't even an exact translation of what the characters were saying. They take some serious liberties, but it keeps the entertainment value flowing like thick, velvety, creamy Velveeta. Saying velvety Velveeta may be a little bit much, but you can go to hell. Let's see what Los Angeles Mischief our man can get into. Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. Let's press play.
You can't just leave like that.
What do you expect me to do?
Say something.
Like what?
Well, first of all, introduce yourself. Even though it's a coincidence that we met at all. You did rescue me. That doesn't just happen every day, you know. Well, say something. Don't just stand there.
Yeah, I guess you're right there.
Hello. I'm Susan Clark.
How do you do?
What's your name?
Wong Han.
Wong Han. What are you doing tonight?
How should I know what I'm gonna do?
Tell me.
What do you mean?
I mean, where are you going to go to?
I've got nowhere. I don't know a single soul in this city of Los Angeles.
Well then, where are you going to go?
Where my fancy takes me, I guess.
Really? Your fancy just go anywhere?
I'll wander around.
You poor boy. I've got a better idea. Why not come home with me?
Where to?
Come on.
You don't have to, you know.
Come off it. You did do me a great favor today, didn't you?
I suppose so.
All right. Teach me the art of self-defense.
Okay.
my place. I just look after it for $100 a month, while the owner's away from town on his annual vacation. Come on, come in.
Okay.
Make yourself at home. Come on. You can put your bags down over here. Oh. Let me help.
Right, now, shall we begin?
Oh, why all the hurry? Oh, would you like a drink first? Coffee?
Milk, please.
All right. You ready now?
Okay. First lesson. Stand like this. Right now, you have a go. It's your turn. Ready? Hey.
Oh, well, what do you say? Have I got it right?
Better than that, you're good.
Oh, no, I don't believe you.
Really, you learn very fast.
Just a minute. You'll need some money. Take this.
What for?
It's for you, for your tuition.
No, you shouldn't.
But it's the right thing to do.
You can pay me something else.
Like what?
Let's go to your bedroom.
Oh.
Now, sit down a moment. Now, listen to me. I want you to think carefully. Can you remember what those 5 men looked like who took Hakan away?
Yes, I think I can. Each of them seemed to play a part, like an actor, you know.
The black one, was he exceptionally tall and thin? A flashy dresser, wearing an earring?
Oh, yes, you're right. He'd a large gold one. It looked so good I wanted it for myself.
Susan,
Yeah?
please do me a favor.
Oh, what?
I want to find all of them. There are still 4 I have not met. You are the only one who knows what they look like and where I might find them. You must help me. You're my only hope.
How can? It's impossible. I don't know where they are by now. They could be anywhere in Los Angeles for all I know. This is an enormous city, you know.
I understand. Los Angeles is an enormous city.
It's impossible.
No, it isn't. Not for men like them. They need meeting places where they make contact. Crooks use the same old dives week after week. So, will you help me? Please.
Oh, all right.
Good, thank you. Bye-bye.
Listen, where are you going to go to now? At this hour of the night?
This is your house. It's not permitted for me to stay here. Please, will you keep these for me? I'll return for them in the morning. I'll see you then. Have a good night's sleep. Au revoir.
Where did he sleep last night? Oh, my God, not on a park bench, weren't you cold? It was freezing out. You'll catch pneumonia if you're not careful. Where are we supposed to go after we've had breakfast? Well, I'm ready to face the world. What do you suggest we do first?
You can start the car.
Where to?
You said last night there was a Chinatown here.
Yes, there is.
All right, then take me there.
Chinatown it is.
Stop the car. No, you wait here. Watch where you're walking. You trod on my shoe. Your boss is expecting me. He knows who I am, even if you're too thick to understand anything. Now, you take me to him.
Come on.
Well, where's your boss?
Are you all right? Huh?
I'm okay. Do you see him?
Yes, I saw him running away. He seemed to be in an awful hurry, though.
Are you sure he's one of the men who left with Go Hog House?
Yes, I'm sure.
Good. In that case, we'd better be going. Come on. Why did you do it? Why? Tell me why. Why did you kill Han? Speak up! Speak up! Talk! Talk! Talk!
I will tell you. He was...
Our man Wong is quite the ladies' man and knows the way to win a woman's heart is through her love of bread goods, specifically bagels conjured out of nowhere. Additionally, the previous sequence features a great battle involving flaming batons wielded by that baddie with the mustache we mentioned earlier, as the forces that be try to keep Wong from cracking the case. But the real point of interest here is the appearance of a shuriken. While definitely a weapon of antiquity, the throwing weapon remains synonymous with the 1980s thanks to the popularity of the ninja in pop culture of the time. Due in no small part to canon film cycle of ninja movies, seeing one in a film that predates Enter the Ninja always comes as a bit of a fun surprise. You know, the legend has it that the throwing star was not meant to be used as a weapon that sticks into victims. It was actually used as a slicing weapon. Invisibility was a big part of the mystique of the ninja, hence the wearing all black so they were hidden and they would hide away and throw the stars at an enemy and cut their arm or their head, and then the shuriken would fall off to the side. This would manipulate the enemy into thinking that there was an invisible swordsman that had slashed them, and it would scare them away. Ninjas were basically one part samurai and one part carny. They invented all kinds of fake mysticism and would proliferate it with rumors about their powers. Things like walking up walls, passing through solid objects, and going beyond camouflage into total invisibility. When I was a teenager, I was obsessed with ninja stuff. I read book after book about them. These books were by a claimed real-life ninja named Ashita Kim, whose real name was Radford Davis, and promised the secrets of ninja invisibility, ninja mind control, and the secrets of ninja training camps. He also had no problem jumping the shark as he wrote a book about ninja lovemaking. I'm serious. Of course, it was all bunk. In fact, if Ashita Kim isn't a virgin, I'll eat my damn Hawaiian shirt right now. In reality, there may have never been any real ninjas at all, but we're here to take our sense of disbelief and not only suspend it, but put it in stocks and work it over with a cat o' nine tails. So let's get back to the beatdowns in the City of Angels. Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. Let's goddamn press play.
Break the door down!
Susan! 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 Susan. Hi. Susan. Susan.
Oh, the terror. I'm so frightened. Don't leave me. They nearly killed me. I was so scared. Oh, scared. Don't forget to pick me up now after I've finished work, huh? Wait, you'll need some money, won't you? I know you don't have any. Really, I can spare it for now. After all, I'm going to pick up my wages later.
Okay, I'll pay you back.
Bye.
Bye. I'm looking for this karate school.
There she is. Who the hell are you?
After having surrogate sex via acupuncture, Ol Wong gets himself a real sugar mama to further finance his quest for post-mortem justice. Oh, and who could forget that pulse-pounding parade footage that is certainly an excellent spot to run to the old Tinkle Station. Of more interest, the film features many nods to noir cinema, with our hero having a tag-along girl Friday. He wanders a cold city street, as well as a heavy use of shadows in some scenes, especially the one at hand, which features a trench coat wearing man hiding in the shadows circled by cigarette smoke. It's an odd aesthetic for a Bruceploitation flick, or really any kung fu film for that matter, and it adds a unique flavor to the picture. You know, for years upon years, there have been reports that legendary Italian cult filmmaker Umberto Lenzi, known for his outrageous action movies as well as notable horror outings like the brilliantly insane Nightmare City, had actually directed Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. The entirely unsubstantiated claim was that Umberto Lenzi loved kung fu films and wanted to try at the genre. So in order to give the movie a more Asian feel, some of the names of the Italian production crew were changed to make it sound like a legitimate Asian martial arts film. They've even gone so far as to say Umberto Lenzi used Du Yong Lee as an alias under the director of the film for possibly the same reason. Friends, no, get that camera in my face. Get the camera in my face right now. Come on, Director Dave. Just push it in, push it in. Friends, this is total bullshit. Du Yong Lee has had a very formidable career since this film, and if Lenzi were going to ape on our martial arts movies that were so popular, why would he make the whole thing a Korean affair? One of the elements that has led people to this is that the name Burt Lenzi was mysteriously on many posters for the film. But of course, the name Bruce Lee was also on it, so take that for as much as it's fucking worth. Something maybe Umberto had something to do with filming, would be filming the intro, but I couldn't find any information on who did it. But I know for a fact that it was at the behest of the notorious Aquarius Releasing and Terry Levine. Terry Levine is legendary for his involvement in the exploitation film genre. One of my favorites of his releases was Dr. Butcher, M.D., Medical Deviant. It was a repackaged version of the Italian zombie cannibal hybrid film Zombie Holocaust, but with some additional footage tacked on and some music shoehorned in to really add to the cheese factor. What truly made the release great, though, was the Butcher Mobile, a truck plastered with artwork from the film that drove around New York City with a driver barking information about where you could see the film over a loudspeaker. That, my friends, is show business. In 1973, the United States of America took Terry Levine and his releasing companies to court on obscenity charges. Kitty's Pleasure Palace, Naked Hunter, and Belinda were the films that were deemed immoral and therefore illegal for him to distribute and exhibit. They had a laundry list of charges put on him, and not one stuck. Terry walked away a free man and made a big victory for freedom of speech in the United States of America. Now, I bring this up because it's important. I make my living as a filmmaker, which means I make my living in the realm of free speech. It's easy to forget that not even a century ago, people were going to prison in this country for what they had to say, for what they expressed on film, and to me, that is true insanity. B-movies, porno movies, any kind of counterculture entertainment is what is truly in danger when we erode the right to speak and express oneself freely. with that all being said, I hope I can count on your vote come November. All right. I almost had a straight face through the whole thing, but that last part just killed me. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I mean, I would rather make a living by stealing the name of a dead guy against his family's wishes than being a fucking politician. So anyway, back to the punches, the kicks, and the acupuncture pricks. Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. Let's press play. Oh, good year.
Hey, Susan.
One heart!
Sorry to be late, but the car was stolen.
Oh, come on, round the corner,
What?
come. Where are they? They were here. I saw.
Susan, let's go back.
What happened?
Come.
This is a good one here.
Well, how much you asking?
For you, $60 a week. It's a giveaway,
one over
lady.
here?
Oh, that's $40 a week, and that's my
Oh,
rock
well,
bottom price, dear.
It looks good,
It's
huh?
an attractive color.
Well, the paintwork's good
Everything
anyway.
about it's good, lady, I'm telling you.
And how much for this one over here, huh?
For you, my dear, $70 a week. It's a bargain,
What
in
mileage is
excellent
on the
condition.
meter? Does
It's
it
the best
have
buy.
a radio and a cassette recorder?
Of course it has
everything.
everything in it.
Oh!
It's got everything you want, lady. It's a bargain. Huh? I'm telling you.
Hey!
Hey, come back here, lady. You missed a bargain, I'm telling you. Lady, you missed a bargain.
Here you are. I found just the right thing for us over there.
Susan, this is the one. Let's get it.
This one, you sure?
Yeah. $50 a week's okay,
But that's all I've got.
but we save on hotel bills.
Well, how long are we going to stay here?
Till I find the rest of those guys and get myself a job. You saw that man with the black hat, did you? Could you see what he looked like?
I don't know. He had his hat pulled down. I couldn't see, but he looked horrible. It was terrifying. Hey, wait! I think someone's inside.
Are you looking for me?
Are you Sasaki?
Yes, I am.
Did you kill him?
Why say that? Why should I commit murder?
Someone killed him.
Gohak Han was mixed up in all kinds of shady business dealings. Did you know that?
Such as, tell me.
Such as drug smuggling.
I don't believe you.
That's up to you. But you had better listen to me for your own damn good. Understand?
Your threats don't frighten me one little bit.
You should be.
Why, what are you gonna do about it?
Hold
Eh?
it. Why should I help you?
All right, if you can't help me, then who can?
Mark Welby.
Where can I find him?
You can try the race course.
I've some questions for him.
That's if you live to ask them.
Did you see anything?
Not a thing.
Damn it, where have they gone? Look, there they are. Wait here. I'll go and search the rest of the house.
Are you looking for me? Now you hear me. You do want me, don't you? Well, now you found me. You're to hand over everything you've got.
So maybe you're thinking to yourself, hey Henrique, I love popcorn fodder, and you're a pretty damn good host. Thank you. But I want to cross the line. I want to go from fan to stalker. How can I do it? Well, it's pretty easy because you can find Popcorn Fodder on social media at Popcorn Fodder at both Instagram and Twitter. You can search Popcorn Fodder on Facebook, and if you want to go old school, you can send us an email at popcornfoddershow@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you, but please keep at least any low-angled nude photos to yourself. Man, in this last scene, it really does sound like everyone is wearing tap shoes. But I guess that just adds to the whimsy. Here it is, the epic battle for the ages against everyone's favorite villain, Welby, the Mexican. Right after we witness a ton of stolen racetrack footage that would be right at home in a Larry Cohen film, who was a genius filmmaker, notorious for not waiting for silly things like permission to get a great scene out in public. The fight itself is pure video game beat-em-up glory, with a boss character sending out a wave of minions to weaken the hero before the real battle begins. This has been featured in classic games, including the NES classic Kung Fu, all the way to Technos Japan's Double Dragon, to Capcom's Final Fight, and so many more. You know, speaking of filming things without permission, I made a movie a few years back called Depression, the Movie. I'm gonna say it was low budget, and I want you guys to shout back to me, how low budget was it? Okay?
Okay.
It was low budget.
How low budget was it?
The film was so low budget, it was financed by the minimum wage job I worked at a mall at the time. And I guess they made up for the low pay they gave me with the opportunity to smell Auntie Anne's pretzels. It was worth it. One of the final sequences in the film required us to get a shot of the main characters as a band on stage, and again, we had zero money. Luckily, 2 of the cast members were in real-life bands, and they had a show coming up at a really nice venue. So we went in as soon as the sound check was done, and when they were first letting people in, I just decided I would act like we were supposed to be there and would just do what we were doing with confidence. Not only did no one say a word, the sound guy actually came up and asked if we needed lights turned up brighter. It was incredible. We got the shot and it looked great, and so I guess what I'm saying is, in the filmmaking world, asking for permission is for suckers. Also, what I just said is not legally binding and is for entertainment purposes only. Speaking of entertainment purposes only, let's dive into our film's thrilling conclusion. Folks, Welby the Mexican is shirtless and he's ready for action. Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. We are pressing play.
Come on, you. Come on. Come on.
You better make looking for us, huh?
Let's go to the trailer.
All right.
Come on, you bastard. Out! If you refuse to speak to me or don't tell the truth, I'll fill you so full of holes you'll be just like a pincushion. All right, you bastard, I'll make you talk now. Why did you murder Gohar Khan? Come on, talk. And why are you interested in this girl? Huh? Bastard!
Hey, Mark! Mark! This bastard here has been trying to make me talk. He's looking for the drugs. So that means the girl hasn't got them.
If you dare make a move, he'll be a dead man.
Now where's the drugs? I swear I'll kill you if you dare lie to me. We know Gohar Khan didn't have the drugs on him. He was supposed to deliver an assignment to Taipei, but he was intercepted and died for his pains. But he passed it on. He must have given it to you because he had no friends in the States. He didn't know anyone except you. Now hand them over.
Chosen! Chosen!
It's me. How'd you guess?
But you're dead. You committed suicide, didn't you?
I took you in as well. It was a trick. I put a substitute in my place, relying on you to take the urn back to my family in Taipei. However, things didn't work out.
Well, you've succeeded very well so far.
The drugs are worth $1 million. In other words, 5 million Hong Kong. A lot. And I could have been set up for the rest of my natural life. But that's all finished now.
You're crazy. You'd have never have got away with it. You'd have been hunted down, and they'd have killed you. And how could you betray your own friend?
You're right, how could I? But I was counting on you. I knew you. I figured you wouldn't let me down. I knew that you'd take the urn and return it to my family. But now it's all gone wrong. And it's all because of you.
Not my fault.
No? Well, now I'm gonna kill you. You fool, you. You're no match for me.
I'll break you apart. Just wait and see. I'll snap your bones. You've lost the right to live.
Well, we all have to die one day. Your time's now. You shouldn't upset yourself too much. Well done, partner. You see now who your Chinese friend is?
Aye. FBI Narcotics Squad. We've had you under surveillance all the time. We knew Go was still alive, so we released you on bail, hoping you would find him.
But I'm afraid we couldn't tell you about it. Otherwise, you might have blown the whole operation. But we've been working on this case for over a year now.
Please, you mustn't hold it against us. Let's be going, hmm?
You'll get a medal for all the help you've given us.
Just like that, the mysterious man in black is finally revealed to be none other than his missing brother. Unfortunately, his brother has been corrupted by greed and only pure Taekwondo could stop him. In another twist, the police actually come through and save the day, though the film does end on a truly somber note with the death of Susan really being burned into our minds. You know, with its reliance on touching upon tropes from various genres, kung fu, revenge, spaghetti western, film noir, etc., the entire affair has a kind of almost Tarantino vibe, especially in the final act with the desert showdown finale with the money/drugs/mystery box reveal. I guarantee you this flick is definitely in Tarantino's personal library. And hey, someone actually did technically fight back from the grave! What? I am fucking thrilled! So, now we have to focus on something very important, which is, what have we learned? When planning on springing back to life from the grave, it's best to go with the largest, most cartoony gravestone possible to make sure folks know just who has returned. If you're an injured cab driver, a minimum of 4,567 band-aids are the industry standard to treat your wounds. Acupuncture is actually good for something. All shoes worn in the film were provided by Tiny Dancer's Tap Emporium and Discount Liquor Outlet. Whether you want to dance or fall, Tiny Dancer has it all. I'm Henrique Couto, and for Chicano and Henwolf, who are enjoying the air conditioning instead of sitting in here with me, remember, there are no bad movies, only bad audiences. We'll see you guys again real soon, and thanks so much for joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen, this picture contains scenes which under no circumstances should be viewed by anyone with a heart condition or anyone who is easily upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, bad boys and naughty girls, put your hands together for the Devil of Dayton. Please welcome your handsome host of Ohio, Henrique Couto.